Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Shield,
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
and this is Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. Today, we have what I think is a fascinating topic for all of you. I had a huge breakthrough when I was dating, and I realized that I had a checklist. I think we all do in some ways, whether your checklist is long or short. Would you agree that everybody has a
Oh, yeah,
checklist?
men and women both.
Men and women both. The thing was that I knew what was on my checklist. But I realized that I didn't know what was on a man's checklist. And that actually was equally or more important than knowing what was on mine, because if a man had criteria that I wasn't aware of, I could be checking off the boxes on my list all day long, and I could be turning off that man sitting across from me. So I thought today we'd talk about that, babe.
Perfect. I think this is much needed.
This is much needed. Let's dive in. Like, what's number one on a man's checklist or on your checklist?
If I were to walk into a date, let's say the Starbucks or the restaurant, you could tell in a moment if there's, in the woman's eyes, if there's kindness, if there's empathy, if there's warmth. And I think that would be the first thing.
So you think all men are looking for that?
I think that men can be attracted to ice queens. But that won't last. It's not warmth and empathy and kindness. So I think men who are serious about a relationship and not just looking to hook up or just trying to find the shiniest penny they can get, this is what they're looking for, because they're looking for someone who's serious about a relationship, is looking for the long term. And in the long term, they want that. And they want playfulness. They want a woman who they could wake up next to 20, 30 years from now, and they're smiling, they're playful together. They show warmth and kindness and empathy towards each other.
So I can hear women thinking, that's all fine and good. I am playful. I am warm. I am kind. But don't men just first look for beauty? Aren't they looking at a woman's physical appearance first of all?
I think that, yes, it always attracts a man appearance, but happens quickly after that is to have a sense is that woman in her body. Does she carry a sense of confidence? Is she dressed appropriately? Because if someone comes in and looks like they just stepped off of a magazine cover, that's attractive until the conversation starts. A man is looking, the attraction is important, but feeling that a woman is in her body, that she has this confidence of who she is, this authenticity, that becomes far more important.
And more important than her being an emotional basket case?
I think a man is always looking for a woman none of us are drama-free completely. And all of us have some baggage, but there are women that can lead with their baggage, and lead with the drama, and even lead with negativity. I think positivity is really an aphrodisiac. It's men look for that. And if a woman is at the table and they're negative or they're complaining, then it's a turnoff.
Why does a man want a positive woman? I mean, I understand what's important to be positive, but on a more romantic, relationship-related level, why is that so important to a man?
I think men have been in relationships where they've felt that they needed to say, I'm sorry, more than they say, I love you. So when a woman is positive, it's much easier to come to a resolution with something than if a woman is negative. It feels like both people are already in the hole. There is already a strike or two against the guy. If someone is positive, they'll give someone the benefit of the doubt. And that's important for me.
Do you think a positive woman would also be easier to please?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you told a story about someone giving lingerie for a birthday or Christmas, and she didn't like the brand. And it's not easy for a man to walk into a lingerie store.
And this was back in the day where he wouldn't have gotten it online.
A bit embarrassing to walk in a store full of women's underwear. And so
That's not a turn on?
Sneak in with the philosopher, the nose and the mustache. And so if a woman is positive, but if a woman's negative saying, oh, I'm so disappointed, this isn't my brand, and I just won't wear it. And a positive woman would say, wow, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when you walked down this. These are beautiful, but I have to be honest, it's not quite my style. And maybe you and I can go in together and pick out something and you'll know in the future what I really like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that she didn't like it. It's the way that she was so negative and how upset she got by it. Women go to this place of, if he really knew me, he would have known,
We're not mind readers. Yeah.
And you're not in there reading the label on our launcher. Which brand?
Right.
I get it. What else, babe? I get so empathy, kindness, compassion, positivity. What are some other things that would really be on a man's checklist and why?
A man is looking for a woman who's feminine. He doesn't want to be sitting across from an ice queen who's beautiful, but not feminine. He doesn't want to sit across from someone who feels like a corporate cohort.
What's that like when you're on a date and the woman is being very masculine and you're trying to engage her? I mean, she's pretty. You were attracted enough to her that you invited her out. And yet, as you're sitting across from her, you can't melt her heart. She's so in her head.
Let me flip that around just for a moment, then I'll come back to it. If a man is sitting across from a woman who is feminine, it puts him in as masculine. So, and there might be just an occasional touch on his hand, or just the way she puts her hand through her hair is captivating. And being feminine, if you see the movies from the 1950s and 60s and Eva St. Marie and North by Northwest, when she's across from a man, she's feminine. And part of that femininity comes from there's nothing else existing except she and the person across from her.
Right.
So if a woman is in her head and not in her heart, if she's dealing with men in the corporate world and she takes that out on a date, a man just leans back because he can't be in his full masculinity. He wants someone he's going to be turned on 20 years from now. And we know women in their 80s who are a turn on because they're in their feminine.
So let me ask you a question. What is it like? What's going through your head when you're sitting across from a woman? We do our Q&A calls all the time with the women in the course. And I am certain that you are sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, this woman is so masculine sometimes. What is that like for you as a man?
If a woman is masculine, it's really depending on the moment, but it can feel infantilizing to a man because there's a certain dynamic with men and women. And when that dynamic is turned on its head, it's not attractive.
Do you think that sometimes if a woman is chewing her masculine, that can also bring out the worst in the guy? If you have some very macho guy or whatever, or a man that wants to impress or assert his masculinity, do you think it can bring out the worst in him?
It might, but I think what it means even more than that is that the woman isn't playful. There's not the humor. And for a man doesn't get into his heart with his male friends. They sit on the bar stool and they look at a TV and there may be 3 football games on, and that's great. But a man goes on a date or wants to be in a relationship with a woman because it brings his heart to the forefront. And if a woman is in her head, then what's the point? You're happy when the evening's over. And even if it's not going to be a match, and you may know it's not going to be a match pretty soon in the date, either the woman knows, the man knows, or probably both. But they know how if 2 people are in their heart, and if the woman is in her feminine, the man can be in his masculine, they both leave the date enriched and better because of it, not with the idea that what a wasted evening and there are no good women or there are no good men.
I know this is out of the blue, but I never asked you this question before. And I'm really curious because we all have blind spots. And I'm wondering in our early dating, and I'm totally open. I know you give beautiful feedback. I'm not worried about what you would say, but I would invite your honesty. Were there things that I did to turn you off in the beginning of our dating?
No, or we wouldn't be sitting here 20 or more than 22 years later. I think that I created a container large enough for these small things that might turn other people off. I can't even think of what they would be, but I kept getting a yes, and a yes and a yes. And that's why more than 22 years later, we really haven't had a fight. We're deeply in love. We're playful with each other. Our favorite thing is just being with each other.
Yeah. And I want everybody to know if he had answered that differently, I would have been perfectly fine. I really wanted to. Benjamin and I are very,
Well,
yeah.
it was the belly button ring.
How about that phony ponytail, mister? No, if you had brought something up, it would have been completely fine. I would actually want to know. So we're very honest with each other, and we really know it all comes from love, and we invite honesty. I know that I sometimes think about our relationship and also just how I was showing up in our relationship. I respected you so much. And I do respect you, not past tense. But when I met you, I was in awe of you, in awe. I don't know that anybody had ever inspired that kind of awe. And I just wanted so badly. I respected you. Everything that I did really came out of that respect, if that makes sense. I just really was motivated by that. So there wasn't even any thought about, am I doing the right thing, saying the right things, or it came from the right place in me. I think that's part of what is important for people to know, is that we can tell you all these things that that men look at. And when your heart is in the right place and you're motivated by for the right reasons, a lot of that comes very naturally once you meet the right person.
And I think a lot of it came on our first date when we shared not just our interests, but our core values.
Mhm.
And because if two people have shared core values, it's exciting. And it could be different religions, it could be different cultures, but if they have the same core values, wow, that's great. And to be able to talk about that freely and talk about it and also actively listen from the other person, what their values are.
Mhm. Yeah, we were fortunate that so many things aligned for us. I know you're looking, as you said, for kindness and empathy and positivity. What else would a man, and that looks are important. Of course, you have to be attracted. But what I think a lot of women miss the fact, if a man invites a woman on a date, he's probably attracted to her already. Is that true, honey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Even though they may have just had a Zoom call, but it was enough to want to get to know someone even more.
Or if you met somebody in real life and you asked her out, you would have, the first thing, you would have established was you found her attractive enough to want to go on a date with her.
Yeah, ideally both her personality, her profile, all of those things.
And what else? What are some things that women wouldn't know?
I think that as a man, if I were to spend, like on our dates, I spent a lot of time just researching restaurants to make sure that it's a place you could eat at, that it was convenient for you.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And
Oh
that,
my God.
that you like tables next to the wall,
Oh,
and that when you like quiet restaurants and we could talk. So a man can put in a lot of time and effort. And it's just magical when a woman says, wow, you picked a great spot. Or I know that you really put effort into this and it's paid off. Thank you.
aw.
So appreciation. If a man opens the door for a woman at a restaurant or walks her to the car, just having just a moment of appreciation lights a man up.
It's so funny hearing you say this. It's so sweet. And I'm sure it's true for a lot of men that they go out of their way to impress women and get it all right. And especially a true gentleman would be listening and watching and wanting to please her. I think that so easily gets stepped over. And I really hope that the women listening heard the emotion in your voice when you were expressing that, because I think a lot of men put so much thought into a date and it's not good enough for the woman. And he feels it. He feels it. And I think women are easily disappointed by men. They have expectations and ideas of what a guy should do, the mind reading thing and all. I took so much time. I got dressed and I had my hair done and and I remember,
And we're at a taco stand.
yeah. And maybe he put a lot of thought into that
Yeah.
taco stand. I
The
mean,
taco truck. That's really
yeah.
his favorite place. And the woman is maybe thinking about, wow, I was really expecting something nice. But his buttons are popping off with pride saying, you got it. This is an amazing taco. And he wants to share.
This is such a wonderful analogy of that. We decided to go to Northern California for our
Honeymoon?
honeymoon. That's what they're called.
Mm.
And I remember it wasn't a place I would have chosen.
This is Big Sur.
This is Big Sur. It's a very elegant place. It was a 5-star resort, very well known and well respected, but just not my taste. It's a little austere. It was a little too rustic. I wasn't even the rusticness. I'm not even the biggest fan of California casual, like the California look and style. So when we got there, my heart sank because it just wasn't me. But I looked around and I said to myself, Benjamin was so happy to take me here. And he loves this place, Ventana.
Yeah.
He loves Ventana. And I am going to see this through his eyes. And I am going to have the best damn honeymoon anybody ever had. And being willing to open myself up and have that little pep talk with myself, it was magical.
Yeah. And I remember they brought a golf cart to take us check out or take us to our car. And we were literally with our fingernails holding onto the bed because we didn't want to leave.
Yeah, we were together. We were cuddling on the bed, just holding each other.
Savoring every moment.
Every single moment. But I remember I was just, I said, this is the place Benjamin wanted to go. He is my husband, and I am going to see this through his eyes. It was so wonderful. And I just thought, this is how much I love you. I thought, oh my God, he would be so hurt and so disappointed if I showed an ounce of disappointment, because he would want everything to be right for me. And so I'm going to make it right. And that was a choice, but I'm happy and it was beautiful and we loved it. So it's somebody who it wants to be pleased and can find the beauty in things and look for the beauty.
And a while ago, you spoke about respect, which means the world to me. And probably clearly a man wants to be respected even more than he wants to be loved. Respect is so important to him. A man is looking for if a woman can show respect to him, but also to the people around her, the wait staff, the parking attendant, the person refilling the iced tea or whatever it is. And it's magical if she shows respect for those people.
And so, honey, women want to be loved more than respected. Like lots of women will say, I want respect too. And those are the super masculine. But I would not want to be disrespected, but certainly feeling loved and cherished and adored is number one for me as a woman. Talk a little bit for the women who don't understand, why is respect for a man even more important than feeling loved?
Almost everything a man does, even though he may not know it consciously, but is to get respect. His position in the company, his income, the car that he drives, the labels that he wears, all of that is to get respect. And for a man, it's really his lifeblood. And so to get respect, as I get from you daily, respect just keeps our lives together, our marriage alive, and I look forward to each day. And I don't look forward to each day only because it's one day less.
Yeah, I think that it's important for women to understand. For a man, so many women don't respect men. They don't treat men with respect. And it's so important to understand how to show respect to a man. I think we should do another talk about that, because I think that's such an important thing. Is how does a woman show respect for a man? Sometimes we may think we're doing that, and it's not, something's getting lost in translation. Respecting a man means letting him come to his own conclusions, believing in him, noticing, paying attention, and acknowledging. I am so genuinely proud of how you've built your practice in Santa Fe. I know leaving Los Angeles, even if it was during the pandemic, we had that break, but for you to come here and completely reestablish yourself at your age, that was extraordinary. And I constantly tell you how proud I am, how much I admire you. Every time a client walks in that door, I think to myself, that is a lucky person to have a session with you. You could be whatever. For me personally, when I met you, I loved your career. I loved what you did for a living.
Even though on my profile picture, you thought I was in out-of-work acting because it was a black and white headshot.
Yeah. It turned out it was the photo from your book jacket, but who knew? In LA, it's always black and white photos are actors. But I love that you're a body worker. I love that you chose that. For a man like you to choose to be that career path, that was an unusual career choice for you.
No, I had dentistry for that.
I know you did, but you're not. You are one of the most accomplished, knowledgeable, serious people in your field. So
getting back to the first stage, and thank you. There are some things that might turn a man off, even though he's got a checklist. But there's some things that are a negative checklist. If a woman sitting across from him keeps looking at her phone or is texting or keeps her ringer on, unless there's something going on, she may have a babysitter and looking after the kids or something like that, and she needs to keep it on, but not just pulling it out, because we can be addicted to the phone. And in a moment of silence, someone may pull it out. It's just a mood interrupter. And again, we talked about respect for people around. If a woman shows the least bit of rudeness to a server or something, even if the service is not good, but there are ways to deal with it. And a man is really looking for these clues of what it's going to be like being with her. And if she has equanimity and grace in handling things, he knows that she's going to treat him with grace and equanimity.
So he's looking at how she treats other
Yeah.
people and then applying that to how she'll treat him.
Yeah. If someone is short if someone spills water when they're refilling the glass or something like that, or if someone knocks over a glass of champagne at a table in an Italian restaurant.
Luckily, it wasn't red wine.
That's another story. But and I think a man is also looking to see if there's a lot of drama
Right.
in this woman's life, and she's leading with the drama or leading with negativity
And gossip.
and gossip.
Well,
Absolutely. Because if she's gossiping about other people, he can be pretty certain she's going to be gossiping about him. And I think I can't speak for women, but I think men are much more private.
yeah. Women talk a lot about stuff, but I don't think men want women talking about this.
Men didn't come home from a date and call 2 or 3 of his male friends.
And process.
And, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And also, if a woman is part of that negativity, might be talking about ex relationships, past relationships. And I think a big turnoff.
But can I pause you for a second? It's not that you can't talk about exes or past relationships, but let's clarify. It's how you talk about them.
Exactly. If someone says, I learned so much about this last relationship, it wasn't healthy, it wasn't good, but I know now what I'm looking for.
Or you talk about good things, like we traveled and he had a great sense of, there can be good things about.
There's always, wouldn't have gotten together to be.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. It's how.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And also that I know that women can complain that if they sit across from a man, he may start talking and continue nonstop for 45 minutes and she can't get a word in. Sometimes the opposite is true. And so the goal is to have this conversation where a little bit of vulnerability is shared from each person, and the person sees how it's received and responded to, and the vulnerability, the emotional openness can keep growing. And that really creates a bond between the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important for a man to know that a woman has a life of her own, that she's deeply involved. She has both feet in the world, in life. And she's not just looking for a plus one. She's looking to merge her life and for two people to make their worlds bigger as they're together.
And men worry about a woman becoming needy once they get into a relationship, right? That's a big thing. They worry that a woman because this often happens. I've heard this so often, that a woman presents herself as having this full life, and then they get into the relationship and all of that disappears. She just becomes dependent on the guy.
It's one of the reasons we talk about taking things slowly. You really get to know someone, and it's not just the beautiful lights of the honeymoon phase in dating, but you really get to see someone over time.
And also, it's important that people date and take things slowly. So if you do that, you become more perceptive about people, if that makes sense. Like by the time I met you, I knew who you were. Like my only question was, I up to snuff? I was wondering if I had upped my game enough to be with you, but saw that you were a man, you had your life together, you were that raised bar I had been reaching for. So I think also taking things slowly by the time so you can catch things. And something this is a little off topic, but we had both done so much work that by the time we met, we really didn't have to work on the relationship at all.
Yeah, I think a disservice when therapists think that, or book authors write books on the importance of relationship, or for two people to get together and work through their issues. neither you nor I agree on that. We work on our issues even before the relationship.
I want to say some people do, they meet at that level, and that is what their relationships are about. However, what gets missed in that conversation is that there's a whole other way to enter into relationship that isn't that, where you have done your work, where you really are coming in as an evolved, mature person who's ready for an adult relationship. So we both worked through our stuff. We did the other dynamic in past relationships and knew that we were not, that there was a whole different way.
Yeah.
And we found that way. But it is important for people to know that if you're single and you're dating, you can work through a lot of those issues before you get into the relationship. So you don't have to do that Harville Hendricks imago therapy.
And I think a lot of people fall in the trap where they don't, or take courses like you offer, that they'll keep recapitulating relationships in the effort to consciously or unconsciously heal what they're used to. And that is just that's a recipe for failure because they're settling again.
It's just the paradigm that we've been taught. That's what relationships are about. My paradigm is I love you so much that I don't want to sit and process with you. I want your life to be bigger and easier and more playful because we have each other, not to sit there and work out issues and problems together. I'll go see a therapist if I need to do that.
And in your practice,
Yeah,
it's rare, but there's an occasional woman that could be so negative about dating
yes,
that they go into the dates with negativity and they're no good men, or I didn't like his photo or something, and they're going on a date anyway. And they go in with that attitude, and it's a recipe for failure because a man could feel it. It's hard to hide anything on a date.
it's hard to create fun when you walk in with a negative, or even create any kind of spark or possibility when you're already seeing it through a negative lens.
And negativity puts us in our head, not our heart.
Yeah.
And so I think, to sum it up, when a man goes into a date, ideally he wants to get to know this person more and more. But let's say that you walk in and it's clear that it's just a different frequency. It's just not a match. But two people, what an opportunity to sit across from a stranger that you may never see again and learn all about her and someone's way of thinking, what their life is like, to share yours and to really have this great interaction. And both people feel enriched. As Maya Angelou said, you don't remember what was said, but you remember how you felt.
Yeah.
And you have encounters like that. It encourages us to go on that next date rather than discourage us when you have a checklist, an interview checklist that's like a job interview. And so many dates are like that. But when it's the other way, when it's this rich dance with these two people, it's fun, it's interesting. Even if you know there's not going to be a second date, that both people know. You both say thank you.
And it's such a shame because so many people, women, we work with women, I hear the women and they go on these dates and when we say that a woman has an agenda, what does that mean? Can you explain to people because that agenda is what's killing their dates.
An agenda would be, I'm looking for a CEO, that we're going to be picked up in limousines, that I'm looking for a guy who's over 6 feet tall, or I'm looking for a guy who meets certain criteria. And the more criteria that's added to the list, the fewer the people there are.
But the agenda, and the reason agendas sabotage dates is because it doesn't allow for two people just out of kindness and connection and all to want to get to know each other. Instead, the only reason that woman is really there is to see if this man checks off the boxes. And then if he does, she'll explore, what are you looking for? What do you want? Instead of just sitting across from somebody and how was your day? And it's really nice to meet you. And just being in the moment with that person. So the agenda, if he doesn't meet her criteria or she doesn't think he's a worthy candidate for a potential partner, she's done.
Yeah. And so many, countless women who have taken your course are with the guardians of their souls, with their life partner, or married and have family now. And what percent of those women feel that if they had this preconception of what the guy is going to be like, probably in almost every case, it's going to be like, I love this guy more than anything in the world, and he's not what I expected.
Yeah, but the thing I really want people to get, and then we're going to end, about agendas, because I think that this is such an important point. If you're going on a date And I'm there only to suss out whether or not you are my future husband. The minute I meet you, if I look at you and I think, oh God, there's going to be an hour and a half of both of our lives that follows. That's me just thinking, when can I get out of here? How quick can it end? I have no interest in this guy. I have a million things to do. That's where a woman with an agenda is going to go in her head, instead of, but he's got a beautiful smile and warm eyes.
Or instead of natural curiosity.
Yeah, so that's the difference. A lot of you just go on a date, and if you determine very quickly that this man is a waste of your time, you're just sitting there wondering when you can get the hell out of there, and there's no connection. And my guess is every single one of those men, whether you sat with them for a half an hour or an hour, you could have had a lovely time. It's canceling this person the minute you met him. All right, honey, just to sum up a few of the highlights of things that turn men on, or that that are on the man's checklist, what would some of those things be?
Kindness, having a playfulness, even a sense of humor, because it means that the relationship is going to be fun and stay fun. That they're open to an engaging conversation, where the conversation grows because two people are sharing vulnerabilities and they're just building and creating more and more of a bond. That there's a sense of appreciation, that if a man really goes out of his way to make the date, to plan the date and to make it right, even if it doesn't turn out right, that there's an appreciation, and that the woman has a positive attitude, and she comes in with her feminine, which doesn't mean sexy. It means true feminine, that essence. And sometimes that can get dampened in the corporate world or with family responsibilities, or to really bring the feminine forward so the man could be in his masculine. And again, it's not sexual, but it's just what brings people together. If we can bring up our core values so that people can get excited that they share the same values, or they could just say, wow, that's really interesting. You have a different worldview and I'd love to hear about it. And there may not be a second date, but you learn something about it. And if there's just, for a woman and a man, for both people to be attentive, not to be reaching for their phones, or for both people to be punctual for the date, to dress accordingly, not overdressing, and because there's a lack of authenticity when we overdress, and a lack of caring if we underdress. So just staying in that zone and really having that natural curiosity for both people, so that even if, again, ideally there'll be a second and third and beyond, but even if there's not going to be a second date, you get to learn about someone, you get to be with someone. How many times on the planet can we be with a complete stranger and get to really know them, sit across?
You may be surprised. People may be surprised, like Charlotte in Sex and the City wound up with the little short lawyer guy, and she had been married to Kyle MacLachlan. You might be surprised who you fall for. Somebody may not be your type when you first lay eyes on him, but once he starts opening up and you see his heart and who he is, you can fall in love. And the last one is respect.
Yes.
Showing respect.
And that a man will it will light a man up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, babe. That was great. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this has been Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. If you'd like to learn more, please go to lisashield.com. Click the button all over my website to watch my free presentation. At the end, you can sign up for a love strategy session with a member of my team to see if we can help you find a guy like him and have a relationship like this. If this is something you might be looking for, we would love to help you find it. And also, I do another broadcast called Finding the Guardian of Your Soul, which is the name of both of these podcasts. And please send ideas to us. We would love your suggestions for future topics. And those can be sent to podcast@lisashield.com. Thank you again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.